This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so I can see good number of people. So this time I'm seeing a new name. Actually, I'm not sure if I've seen this person, Dipakshi. So Dipakshi, is this your first time attending the class?
Yeah, this is my first. Yeah, hello, hi. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, Dipakshi. So
Yeah,
have you
yeah, this is
attended the
the
demo
first time.
class
Yeah,
or
I'm
this is your first?
attending this. Yeah, right. This is the first time. But the problem is like I'm not able to see the screen. I'm not sure what problem is.
I've not shared my screen yet.
Oh, okay, okay, then fine. That is why I
I,
was thinking I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
able to
No,
see
no,
the screen.
I have not shared your screen yet. Okay, I'll share my screen now
Okay,
so that your confusion will be
okay.
cleared. And see, I'm this your
Yeah, now
trainer.
it's
Okay,
visible.
yeah. So I just want to tell you one thing. Your trainer, which is me, I'm not kind of a boring trainer. I really want to keep it interactive so that you guys should have fun. I should have fun. Anyways, from 9 to 6, sometimes we get some very, very boring stuff, right? So this time, let us have some fun, and at the same time, let us learn some good things together. That's my intention. Okay, right. So I hope like everybody is able to see my screen. Please confirm.
We are able to see a screen. Yeah, we are able to see a screen.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, so we covered something, a lot of topics yesterday. So is there any question in yesterday's session, or should I proceed? Any questions in yesterday's session? Anyone? But anyways, it was pretty simple actually. So ideally, okay. So Reena has raised her hand. Yes, Reena. Yeah, Reena. Please tell me. Do you have any doubts? Any questions? Hello, Reena. I'm not able to hear you. Not sure what's the issue. Anyways, I'm just muting you and I'm starting the session. Fine. So today, what are we going to learn? We are going to learn something called as operators. Okay, and operator comparison. So I have prepared something for you. Yeah. So we are into operators. So yeah, what are these operators actually? It is pretty simple, right? So we have some these kind of operators available in JavaScript. So these are pretty simple actually. So it clearly, from the name itself, we can see that it is greater than operator. This is less than. Then we have something called as greater than or equal to operator. And then we have something like this, which says lesser than or equal to operator. Okay. And most important thing is all of these operators, it gives a Boolean value. Suppose if I ask any one of you, 5 greater than 1, it should be answered in what? Either true or false, right? Is 5 greater than 1? Right. Of course, it is true because 5 is
True.
more than 1, right? So that is why we are getting
Mm.
an output as true. But if I ask you, let's say, is 10 less than 100? Again, the output is true. Why? Because 10 is less than 100. But if I do something like this, is 100 greater than 500? Now, 100 is not greater than 500. In
Mm.
fact, it is the opposite. So this time we are going to get an output as false. So all of these above operators, it returns a Boolean value. So in order to show this, I'll do something like this. I go to here, I go to, let's say I open google.com. I click on inspect. Yeah, there was one person who was completely new. So this particular screen is come when I right click here on my Chrome and I click on inspect. And this particular section is called as Chrome DevTools. Here I can type any kind of JavaScript code even without installing Node.js, because by all the browsers, modern browsers, they all support JavaScript by default out of the box. So if I do like this, 10 greater than 1, it gives me true, right? Now, if I do like this, 50.5, right? I get the output as false. Okay, so it's pretty simple. Any questions so far? No? Okay, so I can do something like this also. I can show you. Can anyone tell me what's the output of this? Is it going to give me true or false? Because this is the operator I'm using, which is greater than or equal to. And yeah, there is this exclamation sign here. Anyone who would like to volunteer and tell me? Anyone? No?
Its length greater than or equal to 6. That is what it was trying actually.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Upendra, okay. Yeah, that's a good try. So let's say if I click here, it is going to give me output as false. Is that what you also said earlier?
Yeah, because they were calculating the length of the yellow, and here a yellow exclamatory will be there. It's false. I'm right. It's not correct. That's what it was showing. Wrong. 5
Exactly,
greater than
because
equal to 6. Yeah.
yeah. So if we just break it
5
down,
greater than equal to
uh, who's it? Kanmani. Yes, Kanmani. You're saying something?
uh, 5 greater than equal to 6. That's why it's false.
Exactly, correct. So hello, the length of hello is 5. So 5 dot length is 5, right? And hello with an exclamation is actually 6. So 5 greater than equal to 6 is of course false. So yeah, you guys are correct actually. Right. So this is all about these operators. They are pretty simple actually. Right. You don't even need to practice this. All you need to do is just understand how the syntax works. Right. And then we have, yeah. So why do we compare values? We want to compare values because they help in making some decisions. You usually will use these kind of operators in some if and else conditions and all those things. So you'll understand. And as I told you in my previous sessions, booleans are just two values. Either it is going to be a true or a false, one or zero. But in JavaScript, how do we represent all these values? Using true or false, and they are all in lowercase. Okay. And yeah, if we talk about comparisons, they are usually done between numbers. Next, we have something called as extremely important double equality, and we have something called as triple equality. This is so. What do we do in double equality? Firstly, double equality is something that we should never, never, never ever use. I'll write it here in caps. Never ever use double equal operator. And here, triple equal. Always use this operator. I'll tell you why. So what does double equal to does? It checks for the equality of value, but not the equality of type. You may or may not understand this, but just try to sync this concept inside, right? And it converts both the values to the same type and then compares them, which can lead to some unexpected results. I can show you some things. For example, I come here, right? And if I type 4 double equal to string of 4, okay, any idea what will be the output? See, double equal to, it says it checks for the equality of value, but not the equality of type. So both of them are same, but this is a numeric number, but this is a stringified number. So here it is going to give me output as true, which is very weird. How can a number be equal to a string? Yeah, I understand. Inside the string, we have a number, but it should be a strict equality something. Ideally, this should not be equal to true. So what is happening is, it is actually converting both these numbers to the same type and then it is comparing them. How ridiculous it is. This should never be done. So basically what is happening is, this is converting this stringified number into a numeric and then it is comparing, which makes no sense only, right? So that is why I mentioned that we should never ever use double equality, because it simply checks for the value. It never checks for the type. So if you look at the type of 4 is what? Number. You remember in our earlier classes, I told you we have some primitive data types. One is number, second is string. And how do we check these types? Using type of operator. So type of 4 is going to return me number, and type of stringified 4, right, or a single quote 4 is going to give me output as string. So since it is number, it is a string. Ideally, they should not be equal to true. So if I do something like this, 4 triple equal to stringified 4, now we are going to get as output as false, which is the correct thing or the expected thing. So that is why I said we should never ever use this double equality operator, and we should always use triple equal. Why? it it simply checks for the value as well as the type of. Okay, so first thing is value check. So both values are same. Okay, first condition is true. Now second thing, what does it also do? It checks for the type also. Now type of 4 is number, type of this stringified 4 is string. So the values are matching, but types are not matching. So what do we get as the output? We get the output as false, and it is stricter. That is why it is also called as strict equality. Any questions so far? In double equal to or triple equal to, this is something that you will use a majority of times in JavaScript and your Cypress framework. So it's very, very extremely common thing. So the concept should be extremely clear. If you have any questions, please ask me. I have no challenges in explaining to you again. Any questions so far? No? Okay.
Excuse me, sir. What
Yeah,
is the
please.
stringified number?
Okay.
Can you
Stringified.
explain?
Okay. So when I say stringified number, it means I'm wrapping this number inside a string. That is what I mean by stringified number. For example, if I use like this 5 inside double quote, I call it as a stringified number. Why? Because this is a number, but since it is wrapped inside double quotes, it is no longer a number. It is actually a string. So I can tell you. So if we do something like this type of operator, you remember I showed you in my first or second class that using this type of operator, I can find out the type of any variable. See, the type of this stringified number is string. And if I do type of simplify, the output is number. So it becomes very clear that this is actually a string and this is a number. How? Using this type of operator, which tells me the type. I hope this is clear now.
Sir, tell me again, sir. Sorry, I didn't got.
Yeah, no worries. So,
Sorry.
okay. No worries. Firstly, you don't have to be sorry. And yeah, whenever somebody raises question, please tell your name also. Because like
Ashwini, my name is Ashwini.
yeah,
Ashwini.
no, that's okay. Because I am currently on the screen, just by your voice, it will take me some time to, recognize you, some of your voices actually. That's why. Just tell me your name first. Say, I'm
Ashwini.
Ashwini and this is my question.
Ashwini.
Next time onward. Okay. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, what is stringified number? If I type any number like this, is it a stringified number? No. Why? Because I'm not using any double quotes or any single quote, right? So if I'm wrapping any number inside single quote or double quote, this number becomes a stringified number. When I say stringified number, it is no longer a number, it is actually a string. Why? Because as I showed you, using the type of operator, it clearly tells me what is the type of this number. Sorry, type of this variable. And since it is wrapped in double quote, it is actually a string. And now if I'm using 5 without single or without double quote, now it returns me the type as number. So that clearly tells me this is a string and this is a number. I hope this is clear now.
Yeah, okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
No worries. Okay, so let us move on. Yeah. So double equal to and triple equal to. Okay, I hope this particular part is completely clear. So now if I do something like this, can I do something like this? False equal to false. No, we cannot. Why? Because this single equal to is what? This is an assignment operator. It is as if I'm doing something like this. Let a equal to 5. Whenever I'm using a single equal to, it means I'm assigning the value on the right hand side of equal to, which is 5, to something on the left, which is a. So it means the value 5 is going to be assigned to this variable called a. So this is an assignment operator. So that is why I cannot do something like this, false equal to false. I'm getting this output. Okay. And now if I do something like this, 7 double equal to 7. Again, I hope now you know why it is giving us true. Ashwini, I hope now it is also clear. Right? And similarly,
So, what is the what is the purpose of triple equal to and double equal to? So you said you don't use a double equal to, you use for triple equal to. So why like that?
yeah, it is because Ashwini, why we have to use triple equal to? Because it checks for the value as well as the type. In the case of double equal to, I said it simply checks for the value. It does not check for the type. And here, if you see, I simply typed this. So here, since it is giving the output as true, why? Because it is only checking for the value. It is not checking for the type. So values are same, but if I use type of 7, it is going to give me number. But type of single quote 7 is going to give me string, and number and string are not same. That is why, right? And if you still have some doubts, right, I would suggest just write it down somewhere in your notes. Google it. Maybe use ChatGPT or something. Dig deep into it till the time you're not able to understand the concept. And if you still don't understand, please ask me again.
Yeah,
Okay?
I will try in ChatGPT. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, if you have any doubts, please write it down somewhere
Okay.
and dig deep till you get the answer. Because see, everybody has their own speed. Your speed could be different from my speed. I may be a slower person, you may be a faster person, right? So we all are different. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So let us move on. Yeah. And so just like we have double equal to, there's something called as opposite of double equal to, which is not. This operator is called as not operator. This exclamation sign. Okay, where is this exclamation sign? Just above the one key on inside a keyboard. Okay, so this is called as not equal to, and this is called as not double equal to, which is the opposite of triple to operator. So similarly, just I said, we should never use double equal to. We should always never equal. We should never use this operator. We should never use this, and we should always use not double equal to. Why? Because just like triple equal to, this operator also checks for the value as well as the type. I can give you another simple example. So if I come here, I clear my console and I do something like this. Let's say 10, not, okay, yeah, and there's no space between not and equal to, okay? Just remember that. If I do something like this, 10, I get the output as 10. Sorry, I get the output as false, right? Which makes sense. Okay, and if I do something like this, 10, not double equal to, without any space here, and if I do like this, I get the output as true, right? So what it does is it actually inverts the value. So if it is true, it actually inverts it to false. Okay, so this is the opposite of double equal to and triple equal to. It is very, very simple thing. Okay, and yeah, always
Excuse me,
remember
why
that.
you are using expression before the equal to and double equal to?
Where exactly?
Why we are using the exclamatory before the equal to and double equal to? Can you explain?
Okay, yeah, definitely. So Ashwini, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Ashwini, in this particular case, what is happening is I'm checking for not thing. It means if 10 is not equal to this 10, this is what it means. If I simply do this, it means I'm checking is 10 equal to this 10 or not. And as I told you, this double equal to checks only for the value. So that is why it is giving me output as true. Why? Because both of them are equal, right? But if I do like this, now what I'm doing is I'm checking if this 10 is not equal to this 10, but they are both same, right? Because I'm using double equal to. Sorry, this.
Okay.
Okay, so this is
Okay.
how is it read as? It is read as not equal to.
Yeah. Okay. So exclamatory means is it's not equal to.
Exactly, you got it.
Okay. 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 Then
Okay,
it's showing false. Okay.
yes.
Okay.
But still, I would recommend you, please practice it on your own. Inside the class, while we are actually learning, you may not get the time, but after this class, please do practice whatever I'm teaching you. That's the best way to learn.
Okay. Okay.
Okay? Now,
Okay.
so we'll move on to something called as truthy and falsy values. Again, an extremely important concept in JavaScript, right? And when I started learning JavaScript, I learned this concept almost after many years, right? And I really struggled it because initially I didn't understand it. What are these truthy and falsy values? So I'll try to explain it in a very, very simple terms. So just remember that all the values in JavaScript, when I say all the values, it means any kind of value, right? They all are truthy values, or we can say true values, except for these below 6 values, which are falsy values, right? So as I told you, we have something called as we have two values, Boolean values, right? Which is true and false, right? So false is of course a falsy value. Zero is also a falsy value. We have something called as empty string. When I say empty string, like this, double quotes without any space. Okay, so this is an empty string. Are you getting me now? And then we have something called as null, undefined, and NaN. NaN stands for, can anyone please tell me what is NaN? Anyone?
Not a number.
Who said that?
Not a
Neera.
number.
Kanmani, very well. Yeah. NaN stands for not a number. It is not an error. It is just a value represented in JavaScript that represents which is not a number. Very well. Okay. So NaN, which is not a number, is also a falsy value in JavaScript. So other than these 6 values, all the values are truthy values. Everything. I've taken a very small example here. Let's say I've created a variable called mystery and I've assigned this value to 5. How am I assigning it? Using this assignment operator equal to. This is there in Java also, right? And using let, I'm creating this variable called mystery. Okay. So now what I'm doing is I'm using an if and else condition, right? It is very simple. Even if you have never heard about it, just understand it. if my condition is true, I want to do this, but if my condition is not true, then I want to do this. For example, today can be either Sunday or it can be something else, right? So I can simply check if today is Sunday, then do this, right? I may go out for, let's say, a family outing, and if it is not Sunday, I'll have to go to work, right? So the answer can be either true or false. So similarly, it's like a decision. This is, but inside this thing, we call it as a condition. So what is my condition here? The value of mystery is 5. Right, so it is actually going to be treated like this. If 5, now 5 is a true or false? Because inside if, it will always be evaluated as a Boolean expression. So when I say mystery, the output is what? Can anyone tell me what's the output of this code? If I'll just simply run it. Is it going to be truthy or falsy? Anyone? So I've selected this code, and now from this entire piece of file, only this particular part is going to be executed, and I get the output as truthy. I get the output as truthy. Why? Because 5 is not a part of any of this. So is 5 false? Is 5 0? Is 5 empty string, null, undefined, NaN? No, right? As I told you, only these values are falsy values, and everything else is a truthy value. So 5, since 5 is not a part of this group, it is automatically become a truthy value. Okay, so 5 will come here. So 5 is a true value. So if of true is what? It is going to execute this and not this. I hope this is clear. Another example. Let logged in user. I have created another variable called logged in user. And how I've created this? Using lower camel casing. If you remember, I told you any variable starts with a lowercase letter. And if we are joining it with more words, the subsequent words will start with capital letters. So I is in caps. This is the third word that we have joined together. So this U is in caps. So this is a lower camel casing convention. And now, can anyone tell me now what is the output of this code now? You are logged in, or please log in. Let me
Please,
clear. Yeah, somebody was saying something. Please go on.
I'm Leela, sir. Please log in because we haven't defined any value for that logged in user.
Okay, you are absolutely correct, but some part is missing, Leela. Can you tell me why we got this output? Of course, your output is correct, but can you tell me the reason why we got this? It is because, if you remember,
We haven't defined, right? Anything.
Yeah, I have not assigned any value to it. So by default, the value of any user, the value of any variable that I have not defined is automatically what? Undefined. You remember I told you undefined is implicit, right? So that is why. So it will be evaluated to, this logged in user will be evaluated to what? Undefined. And undefined is what? A falsy value, as I told you. It is one of these 6 values, right? So it is a falsy value. So this condition is never going to be executed. So always the else part will be executed when the condition is false or falsy value. Is it clear now? Why here I'm getting truthy, and why in this case I'm getting this else part? Here, if part is getting executed, here else part is getting executed. And yeah, in never it can happen that this part will be executed and this part will be executed. It can never happen. If this or this is how it is read. Any questions so far in this? I hope it is pretty simple and clear. Should I proceed forward? Then we have something called as logical operators. Okay, so today we are understanding about operators. I'm pretty sure you must have heard about these operators, and, or, and, not. And is represented by double ampersand sign, or is represented by these 2 pipes. And where are these pipes? Just above the return key or just below the delete key. Okay, and this not is like an exclamation sign. Okay, so how does this logical AND works? Logical AND basically works when both sides have to be true in order for the whole expression to be true. I can give a very simple example. Let's say this is one expression and this is my second expression. Now I want to return true if this returns true and this should also return true. That is the meaning of AND operator. This should be true and this should be true. If both are true, then finally this entire expression will return true. But if one is false and this is any of them is false, let's say left side is false, right hand side is true, then it is going to give us false, because I clearly said both sides have to be true in order for the whole expression to be true. So let me run this. I'll select it, click on the run button. See, I get the output as true. Why? Because 1 is less than equal to 4. This is true. 10 is greater than 5. This is also true. So since both are true, I get the output as true. Now, let me run this. What did I get here? False. Why? Because 9 is greater than 10. This is false, right? Because 9 is less than 10. And this part, 10 is greater than 5. This is true. So false and true. This is not going to work. Why? Because both sides have to be true. And finally, if I do like this, let me clear it again. This time I'm getting output as false. Why? Piyush.length is what? It is 6. So 6 triple equal to 6 is what? True. And 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 is triple equal to 5. This is false. I hope now you see what is the meaning of this triple equal to. We are checking for the value as well as the type. Okay. So this is true and this is false. So we are getting the output as false here. Any questions here? Pretty simple, right? Okay. So as I clearly mentioned, true and true should return true. Both sides have to be true. But if one side is true and other side is false, it is not like only the left hand side has to be true and right hand side has to be false. Left hand side can be false, right hand side can be true. Still we will get what? Sorry, I return it like this. It has to be false. So true and true returns true, true and false returns false, and false, it should also return false. Okay, make sense? And then we have something called as logical OR operator. Here, this is like a, okay, let me close it. This is like quite strict. Both sides have to be true. But in the case of logical OR operator, even if any one of the side is true, the whole expression is going to be true. So if this is true or this is true, we will get the output as true, right? But if both of them are false, then we're going to get output as false. Let me just run. Okay, let me run all three. We get output as true, true, and 5. Why we get the output as true here? Because 1 is not equal to 1. This is false, right? 1 is equal to 1. So this is false. And 10 triple equal to 10, this is true. False or true, right? So we get 1 true. So this is going to give me output as true. Second condition. This is returning what? True again. Why? 10 divided by 2 is 5. And with a triple equality, so this is true. Null is what? I told you. Null is what? Null is a falsy value because it is a part of these 6 values, right? So null is a falsy value. So this is true, true or false. So one side is true, right? So this is also going to be given output as true. And here, this is something interesting actually. 0 is what? Is it true or false? Can someone tell me? Anyone?
It's a null. It's a null.
No, 0 is not null.
True, because 5 is there, right? It's
Okay.
or so anything like false.
Okay, that is fine. We'll come to that later. But firstly, can you please tell me 0 is what? Is it a truthy value or a falsy value? And 5 is what? Is it a truthy value or a falsy value? This is how we should see this expression. So 5 is a truthy value. 0 is what? Falsy value. How come?
False.
Because see, is 5 a part of this thing? No, right? So it is automatically a what? A truthy value. But 0. 0 is a part of this group. So 0 is a falsy value. Okay? So in this particular case, since 0 is a falsy value, right, we will then evaluate this. Why? Because in the case of OR operator, if this first part is true, do we still have to evaluate this? No, right? So this is called a short circuiting. So if I do something like this, if it was, let's say 6 here, so this is called a short circuiting. So only this part will be evaluated. This part will never be evaluated. Why? Because in the case of OR, we just need one true, right? So if we are getting true here, this part will never get executed. But since this is 0, which is going to evaluate a falsy value, so now we'll go to the right hand side and then we'll evaluate this. Is 5 a truthy value or 5 is a falsy value? But since we see here 5 is not a part of this group, So 5 is automatically become a truthy value. Okay, and what we are going to get, since we are inside this parenthesis, so 5 is going to be evaluated to 5, and that is why we get this output. Any questions so far? So true or true returns true, true or false, or we can also write like this: false or true. So true can be on the left hand side or false can be on the left hand side, doesn't really matter. This also returns true. And of course, false and false is going to be returning false. Why? Because we need at least one true, either on the left or either on the right. Okay, and then we'll move on to another operator called as not operator. So what does it do? It simply negates the expression. So I'll give you a simple example which will make things very much clear. I'll clear it out. I'll hit enter. Clear. Okay, so if I write true, I hit enter, I get output as true. If I write false, I hit enter, I get output as false, which makes sense. Now, if I type this not operator or exclamation of true, I get the output as false. So what it does, it's like a switch on and off. So if I use it not with true, it will become false. Or simply, if I use this switch, or we can say this exclamation part with false, it is going to flip it to true, right? So we can say not of true is false and not of false is true. It simply inverts the expression. Now read it. Not of expression, it returns true if the expression is false. So if this is false, not will invert it, means false will become true, true will become false. And now, can anyone tell me what is the output of these three? Null is actually what? Falsy value. False will become true. So that is why I get this output. See, not of null is going to give me output as true. Let me clear it. If I type like this, right, and not of true is what? False. So that is why I get output as false. Now, is 3 less than equal to 4? Is it true or false? It is true, right? So, and now we have this not operator. So not is what it will do, it will invert it. So since it is true, this not is going to invert it, this true to what? False. And that is why we get this output as false. I hope it is pretty simple. Of course, you will need some practice to understand and absorb all these concepts, right? And yeah, I will keep on emphasizing that you guys need a lot of practice. Without practice, you'll forget all of these things. Even today's date, I still practice. Okay, and then we have something called as ternary operator, which is a very important operator actually. So what it does is, it is used to convert a regular if and else condition into a single line of code. And it is called a ternary operator because it has got three pieces. I'll explain what are these three pieces, but firstly, let me clear and let me close it. Okay, so now let's assume that I have this if and else condition. So I have created a variable called num and I've assigned this value 3 to this variable called num. Now, this is my decision making process. And it simply reads as, if num is equal to 7, then do this, and if num is not equal to 7, then do this, right? And since num is equal to 3, so this decision making is actually false. Why? Because 3 triple equal to 7 is falsy value, and if it is falsy value, this if part is never going to execute, this else part is going to be executed. So what will get the output? We'll get the output as bad. Okay, makes sense. Now we can convert, if you see here, how many lines of code we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have total 5 lines of code. Can we convert, or basically as an automation tester, one of our jobs is always to shorten our code if at all possible, so that our code looks more organized and more neat. Right now, I'm not talking from JavaScript perspective. I'm talking from automation testers point of view. Right. So this if and else condition is written in one single line like this. So what is the syntax of ternary operator? This is the syntax. So we write the condition, right, and then we have a space followed by this question mark, and then we write this expression, right, which is going to be executed or evaluated. If this condition is true, then we write this colon, and then we write like this. It means if this condition is true, execute this or execute this. Similarly, how we read this? If this condition is true, then do this, which is this. If it is false, then do this, which is this. So it is pretty simple actually. So all we have done is we have just written it in one line. So now if I want to write this into this ternary operator syntax, how will I write? I'll simply copy it, num equal to 7. Okay, and then what I'll do, I'll use a space, I'll write a question mark. Why? Because this is the syntax. Condition is what? This is my condition, and then followed by a question. Has somebody raised their hand? Okay, no. So after this question mark, what will I do? I'll write the expression that I want to execute. Which is the expression? This entire expression. I'll copy it, I'll place it here, and after this again a space followed by a colon, because this is as per the part of syntax. Right, I'm simply following the syntax as it is. And here what I want to write, expression if false. This is the expression that I want to execute, and so I get this output actually. So now it's totally your personal choice whether you want to go with this or you want to go with this. In the initial days, I think this looks more simple, but as you get little more advanced, as you get little more practice, right? So that is how you can gravitate from this piece of code to this piece of code. It is not a straightforward journey. It will take some time. So allow me a sec so that I can drink some water. So is ternary operator clear to you guys? Or do you have any questions in it? Please let me know. Any questions? Pretty simple. Should we proceed forward? Okay. Right. Another example let us take for ternary operator. Let's say I have created another variable called status1 and I have given this value which is what? Offline. And this is inside double quotes. So anything inside double quote is what? A string. Okay. I have created another variable called color using this let keyword. So if you see here inside VS Code, you see this let is in blue color, this is in pink color, right? So this is how VS Code actually, makes it easier for us to understand the code. If all this code is in black color or something, all is in white, it becomes very hard to read, right? So that is why this is one of the beauties of these IDs. So it makes coding experience a lot better. Okay, so status1 has this value. Value of color is what? Undefined, because as I told you earlier, if I don't give any default value to a variable while declaring it, it automatically takes values undefined. Why? Because it is implicit, and null is something I told you, it is always explicit. So now what I'm doing is I'm using this if and else condition where I'm checking if status1, the value of status1, is it equal to offline? It can only be answered in true or false. Right, now status is offline. Color is what? Color is what? It is undefined. Right, so here let me just run it. Any idea what is the value of color after this? Let me just do console.log of color, and I'll run it. I get the output as red. Why so? So if I get the output as red, it means this particular part got executed, if part got executed, and else part didn't got executed. Why? Because anyways, status1 is offline only. So offline triple equal to offline is true. So that is why we got the output as color equal to red. Okay. Now, can I convert this if and else into ternary operator? This is how we do. So what I'll do is I'll simply copy this part, which is my condition. I'll write it here, right? So this is my condition. What will I do next? I'll simply look at the syntax. So after this, I'll write question mark, then expression that I want to execute, then colon and another expression. So here, which expression I want to execute? If this is true, I want to execute this expression. So I'll copy it, I'll paste it here. And then I'll write this colon, and then what I'll write after on the right hand side of colon, this expression that I want to execute. Okay, so finally, what will happen is this particular part will get executed, and that is why color is red. So, and there's one more thing. Did you see here? Here I'm using color equal to 2 times. color equal to red and color equal to red, which is kind of a duplication. I don't like this kind of duplication. And one of the responsibilities of a good automation tester is to reduce duplication as much as possible. Now I see if something is duplicated even twice, I would really want to refactor it. So how can I refactor or make this piece of code? This is a working code. There's no issue in it. But this part, color equal to, is 2 times. So what can I do is I can move this color equal to here. And this is what my condition looks like. And how do I read it? I read it like this. Is the value of status 1 equal to offline? Okay, yeah, status 1 is offline. So this part is going to return true. If this is true, anything after question mark is executed. So this part will be executed, not this part. And suppose if I do offline 1. Now, is this going to be true? No, this is not going to be true. Why? Because status 1 is offline and I'm equating it with offline 1. So this condition is going to return me what? False or falsy value. And if it is a falsy value, this part is not going to be executed. This part after colon is going to be executed. So the value of color is going to be green this time. And that is how the ternary operator works. Any questions? Looks like somebody is raising hand or something. Okay, so Reena has written green. Very well, Reena. Okay, any doubts so far? Or actually we are done with our operators now and we are all set for our next topic. I hope this particular part is clear.
Excuse me.
Yes, Ashwini.
Why you entered after if and status equal to offline? What that mean? Status.
Which line you're talking about? Please tell me the line
First
number.
one, color is equal to red. You mentioned their color is equal to red. On the top of the line, there is a status triple equal to offline. That is. So why
Yeah.
you mention like that? What it means?
Are you talking about this part?
Yeah, first line.
This one.
Top of the color is equal to red. Yeah, this one.
Okay. So what I'm doing is, see, I am creating a variable called as status 1. Right. It can be any variable. I can even write it Ashwini also. Right. Nobody's stopping me. I can give this variable any name. And yeah, as per good practices, we should always give variable a meaningful name. Because suppose if I give it, let's say Ashwini name, or maybe I give it my name, let Piyush equal to offline. Right. Today I understand what is this variable actually doing. But maybe 6 months down the line, I'll not remember it. So it is always a good practice to give it a meaningful name. Okay. So I have created a variable called status1 and I'm giving this string value which is offline to the status1. And in this line, I'm creating another variable called color. Okay, and this time, since I'm not using equal to something, this color variable is empty, or we can say it is the value of color is undefined. And now, when I'm doing this is referring to this same variable which has this value offline. So what it is checking is the value of status1, is it equal to offline? Yeah, it is offline because this is what I have given here, right?
Okay.
Right, so this is going to be returning true, and since it is returning true, the value of color which is undefined at this moment, it is going to be set to red now. And now if I do color, let me execute it again. It will make things more simple. See, I get the output as red. Why? Because status 1 is offline. Now let me change it to offline 1. And now let me rerun it. I'll clear it. I'll rerun it. Can you tell me, Ashwini, what is the output now? See, green. Make sense? Because status 1 is no longer equal to offline. So this part is not executed. This part is executed. Getting?
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. So keep on practicing, Right. You will make some silly mistakes and that's absolutely okay. And that is how we all learn. Is it fine?
Okay, sir. Okay, got it.
Perfect. So should we move on to the next topic?
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. So next topic is, so we just completed control structure wherein we just learned something about, okay, let me do a quick recap for you. So what we all learned in this particular topic, we learned about comparison operators, right? So what are these comparison operators? These are these are all the comparison operators, right? Greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to. And then we talked about what? We talked about equality. So we have something called as double equality, and the opposite of double equality is not with a single equal. And then we have something called as strict equality. Why strict equality? Because it checks for the value as well as the type. And as I mentioned earlier, we should never use double equal to. We should always use triple equal to. And when it comes to not equality, we should always use this one. Okay. And then I told you all these above operators return a Boolean value, which means either a truthy value or a falsy value, right? And then we talked about these truthy values. So I told you these are the 6 falsy values, and other than these 6 falsy values, all the values are truthy values. So what are these falsy values? False, 0, empty string without a space. Then we have null, undefined, and nan, which stands for not a number. Everything else is a truthy value. Okay. And then we learned something. What we learned about these operators, logical operators, and, or, and not. And is like double ampersand, or is like double pipe operator, and not is exclamation. In the case of logical and, what it does is both sides, left hand side as well as the right hand side, has to be true in order for this expression to be returning true. Okay, so true and true returns true. True and false again is going to be returning false. Why? Because this particular part is no longer true. And of course, false is going to be returning false only. And then we have something called as logical OR. If one of the sides is true, whole expression is true, right? So this is, and this and operator is little more strict. Logical OR is little less strict. Why? Because either any of the side is true is going to be returning true. So true or true is going to be returning true. True or false or true is going to be returning true only, and false or false is going to be returning false only. And then we have something called as not. It simply inverts like a switch. If I switch on the light, right, either my light is going to be turned on or it is going to be turned off. So if my value is true, not of true is going to be returning false, and if it is false, not of false is going to be returning true. So it inverts the value, opposite. And then we have something called as ternary operator, which converts an if and else condition into a single line, which is completely optional. You're not forced to use this ternary operator. So if you don't like this if and else, you can use this. But I think as a better practice, one liner code is better than using these 5 lines of code. This is completely my choice. Okay, so this is about comparison operators. Next, we are going to learn a very important concept called as arrays. Any questions so far? No? Should I proceed? Okay, so I have prepared some slides. Okay, let me just. So, firstly, what is an array? Just read it. Array is basically an ordered collection of values. For example, IG stands for Instagram. So, if there are list of comments on an Instagram post, we can put them inside an array, right? If there's a collection of levels in a game, we can put this data inside an array. For example, if there's a playlist, like you might, some of you guys might be into music, you might be, interested in learning music. So you can put songs of a particular playlist inside an array, and this is the best example of an array, right? If you see here, right? So what does it signify? Basically, it is like an ordered collection, right? So why I'm doing this? I'm using similar ordered collection to my array variable. I can give a very simple example. So this is my array. Now let's say what I want to do is I have weekdays. For example, Monday till Sunday, right? I can create 7 variables for the same. For example, let Monday equal let mon equal to Monday, let tu equal to Tuesday, let wed equal to Wednesday, and so on. Right? This makes sense. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you look at this data, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they are all related values, right? They are not unrelated. So in this case, it makes more sense to logically pack these values inside an array rather than storing all these values into separate variables. Are you getting now? So why do we use arrays inside Java or JavaScript or Python or any programming language? So that it's because we have a you can say a logical relationship between these values. That is why we can use an array. For example, have a look at this example. I have created an array with these things. These are both eating items. And since they are all eating items, can we say that they are kind of related? Because, but if it is pasta or, and suppose if I write like this, BMW, is there any relation between these two values? Logical question. There's no relation, right? This is an eating item. This is a car. So there's no logical relationship between them. So ideally, we should not use these values inside an array. But of course, nobody's stopping us. It is totally our choice, right? But if the values are kind of related, then it makes more sense to put them in an array, right? And how do we create an array? We create an array using this syntax. This. So this is how we create an array. We use empty parentheses like this and then followed by a semicolon. And as I told you in my first class, using semicolon is completely optional. We are not forced to use the semicolon, but it is better to use it, right? So this is how we create an empty array. So here I'm creating an array called students and I'm putting nothing into it. Means I'm not putting any value inside it, right? And now when I'm using this an array of strings, it's not like I can create only an empty array. I can create an array with some values inside it directly, just like how I can create a variable with a value inside it. Okay, so I can do like this. Let the variable name or array name is colors, and here I'm putting what? I'm putting strings into it. Which kind of strings? Red, orange, and yellow. These are colors. That is why I've given this array name as colors, so that it becomes clear to me, or maybe anyone who looks into this piece of code, what it is actually doing. So ideally, we should write our code in such a way that it should be very, very simple to understand, not by the person who has written this code, even if by the person who has not even written this code, right? And similarly, I can create an array of numbers. For example, let lot of numbers equal to this. And yeah, all the array values are separated by a comma. If there's only one value, we don't need a comma. But if there are more than one values, we will need a comma. And yeah, spacing is not really required, but we can put it like this. Here, you see, there are no spaces here, but here we are using spaces here. And it is like a mixed array. Ideally, we will never use such kind of mixed array, but in very, very rare scenarios, we can use a mixed array wherein we can have different kind of values. Like this is a number, this is a string, this is a boolean value, and this is a null, right? Which is an data type, right? And then we have something called as arrays are indexed. What is the meaning of index? You remember I told you like in my previous class that even strings are indexed. What does it mean? So if I, let's say, come here, I clear it. If I write like this, so this is a string, right? When I say strings are indexed, means this particular character has index of 0, second character has index 1, this y character has index 2, and this last character has index of what? Length minus 1. So if Piyush string has a length of 6, then this last character has index of length minus 1. Similarly, in arrays are also indexed. Why? So that we can pick any value from an array, right? So if I let's say want to use this particular value, how can I retrieve or use this value? By using an index. For example, I'll do colors, this parenthesis, sorry, I don't call it parenthesis. Parenthesis is like the keys above 9 and 0. So these are parentheses. I always get confused in this. So these are parentheses and these are square brackets. So we should always use these kind of square brackets. Okay. So where were we? Here. So I'll use colors followed by the square brackets 0. So colors of 0 is going to give me output as red. Colors of 1 orange. Colors of 2 yellow. Colors of 3 is going to give me output as green. And now if you see here, this is index 0. This is index 3. Right. Now, if I try to search for an index that is not really present, what will I get? I'll get output as undefined. In the case of Java, if I try to do the same, I will get an exception. But in the case of JavaScript, I will not get any exception. JavaScript is little lenient, right? So it is going to give me output as undefined. Okay. Is it clear or any doubts so far? Please ask me if you have any doubts. Okay. Pretty simple, right? If you have understood strings, so this is also pretty simple actually, right? And it is not like arrays are fixed once defined. We can change the value of arrays even after defining. And how do we change the value of arrays? By doing this. So let's say I have another array called colors, and this time I'm adding some random colors to it. For example, red, orange, green, and yellow. Oh, right. And deliberately I've made a spelling mistake here, which is RAD. Now, if I do colors of 0 equal to RED, so it means the value, this particular value is now changed to red. And colors of 2 equal to yellow means Colors of 2 is what? 0, 1 and 2. So this part green is now changed to yellow, and colors 3 is now green. 0, 1, 2 and 3. This has now become green, right? And colors 4, there's no colors 4. So if I'll just return it, it is going to give me values undefined. And if I do colors of 4 equal to blue, it is as good as inserting an item at the end or the right hand side of the array. So this is my array now: red, orange, yellow, green and blue, because of all these changes. Any questions so far? So this is a little bit about arrays actually, right? So yeah, it is 10 o'clock, so we'll have to wind up our class. But before we wind up, I would like to ask you, any questions? Anyone? I see people like Joffrey, Reena, Kanmani, Deepti, Leela. Any questions? How was today's session? So did you learn something
Hi.
new? Yes, Kanmani.
Can you share the document for installing packages, Cypress and VS Code? Is there any documents?
Okay, so there's no document as such. So, but if you look at the chat, Kanmani, okay, you sent me some messages. Okay, so Joffrey was asking, at the teacher, are you using VS Code or Visual Studio? Yes, Joffrey, I'm using VS Code as my IDE. Okay, and yeah, so you have this question. So I have written in the chat itself. So if you see here, so these are the three commands that you need to run. Firstly, create an empty folder anywhere on your machine. Open this folder inside your VS Code. How do you open a folder? Simply click on File, Open Folder, okay, and navigate to the path where you have created that folder. Simply select it, click on Open, right? So this folder is opened here. And then how do you open terminal? Click on Terminal, New Terminal, right? And by default everything is empty here, because in your case it is an empty folder that you've just created, right? And then what you need to do is write npm init hit enter. So on the left hand side you'll see this file, package.json file. You will see this file, and then when you'll hit npm install Cypress and hit enter, it will take 1 or 2 minutes, and then you will see this. You will see a dependency like this, Cypress 14.1.0. Here it means Cypress is actually installed, but in order to install it, you should have Node.js version installed on your machine. How do you check if Node is installed? By typing node-v and see it says Node version 20 is installed on my machine. That is why I can run this command. If let's say you don't have Node installed on a machine, you will not be able to run this command. And then finally, once Cypress is installed, you run this command, npx cypress open, right? Npx cypress open and hit enter, and you will see this Cypress opened. So this is how we open it. Okay, any other question? Anyone? So before we wind up, so this was our I believe this was our last demo class actually. So I really like to request you guys, if you guys are really serious about learning JavaScript and all, right, I would suggest get in touch with somebody from Isha Training Solutions, right, and process all your payments, because I think from because today is our last class, right, so it is going to be 4 days in a week, because I think 5 days would be little too much actually, right? So I think 4 days in a week is good enough, and remaining 3 days is for you to practice whatever we have covered so far. You have the videos, right, so you can go through those videos again, maybe if required. Start coding as you're watching the video, pause the video, try it yourself, and then play the video again, and as I'm explaining you how to code, try it out yourself, and that is how you guys will learn, right? So if you want to continue from Monday
Sir,
onwards,
we
I would
have
really
class on
suggest,
Saturday and
yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah, no, we
We
don't have
don't
any
have
class on
class on
Saturday,
Saturday,
Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah, we don't have any classes on Saturday, Sunday. So we have classes from
So
Monday till
we have
Thursday,
5 days
four
or
days.
4 days.
Yeah, it is a 4 day
Okay, okay,
class in a
okay.
week, and 3 days is for you to practice,
Oh,
because some people are quite busy, some people are a little less busy. So considering all of that, we have decided 4 days, which is more than enough, I feel. Okay,
okay.
right.
No,
So
okay. No
so
class
we'll be
tomorrow.
meeting on Monday
Okay.
then, right? And I would request all of you, like whosoever like really wants to continue from Monday, please make sure that your payments are completed and all, right? So, and get in touch with somebody from Isha Training Solutions, and if you have any questions, we have these WhatsApp groups open. Please reach out to me or maybe somebody from Isha Training Solutions, and we'll definitely help you out, right? And I'm really
Yes, I
excited
have,
to have you on board. Okay, anything else before we wind up?
I, yes, I have one question. Hear me?
Yes, Joffrey, please tell me.
The question is that